What is up, you plane party people? Steve here, excited for today's presentation. We are in San Juan Sector 6, the smallest of the four en route sectors in San Juan Center's airspace. It is a hotbed of activity, radar procedures with both Miami and Santo Domingo. So this presentation is applicable both to the radar, obviously, but also radar associate, right? True radar associate duties being done here and practiced today. Not much D-side activity, right? That's the cool thing when you find yourself sitting at D6 when Sector 4 and Sector 6 are split. If you're D6, you are doing true radar associate duties, which is fun. Like I said, it's a hotbed of activity. BETIR and Chuma, that area is a hotbed of activity for aircraft transitioning into terminal phase of flight. Also, the kind of mid-altitude stratum being prepared to land airports. Las Americas, Joaquin Balaguer, the guys who are prepared into the approach phase of flight are landing Punta Cana and La Romana airports. And not to mention, we have different crossing restrictions and procedures for aircraft going to El Cate, Santiago, and among many other airports inside Santo Domingo Center's airspace. So if there was a chart that was posted in the chart supplement where all the hotspots are, like at airport diagrams, you would definitely see a hotspot located here because aircraft are climbing, descending, all at different speeds. There are sequences, not to mention the amount of overflights at all different altitudes, right? We know that close to the Santo Domingo and San Juan Center boundary, we have the Airways Yankee 421, Lima 452, Red 763, and aircraft can be at all kind of different altitude stratums, and you have to miss those aircraft as they descend into Santo Domingo, or even overflights as well, which we will cover in a different presentation. But there's a lot of fun to be had. We are building upon what we have learned already, so some things won't be so explicitly stated. It'll be your job to complete it, which will make this fun. You'll be able to pause the video and see what you would do and practice your phraseology and so on and so forth. So I'm excited. Let's get down to it. I'll see you at the next slide. All right, so don't twist my arms. Sector 6 is the epitome of a good time, right? So radar and radar associate duties, just like I said in the title slide, both of you are going to have a great time with this. Solving a sequence scenario of BETIR with some added complexity, you'll see that in a minute. Use the LOAs and SOP to our advantage, right? So what we'll be looking at today are excerpts from the Santo Domingo San Juan LOA, which is new as of 2019, now 2020, and the SOP, the San Juan Center Standard Operating Procedure. So without further ado, the bulleted list, we're here at BETIR, ready, set, jets, go. I will see you at the next slide. Okay, so let's get some of that legal jargon, the kind of boring stuff from the governing documents out of the way first before we head to the sector, okay? So from the San Juan SOP, traffic landing Punta Cana, entering the San Juan FIR between Kinch and Kika, entering on a random route or established on Mike 597, must be sequenced to enter R6 airspace via JANMA direct BETIR, level of flight level 280, okay? Even though in today's scenario, we are working both Sector 6 and Sector 4 combined, this turns into a good technique and a good practice to adhere to, regardless of whether you are working Sector 6 by itself or Sector 4 and 6 combined. We'll explain why when we get to this sector. Let's go over to the Miami and San Juan Center LOA. Aircraft landing Punta Cana entering San Juan Center's airspace from within Sector 63 must cross FIPEC at flight level 270. Awesome. When aircraft are at 270 at FIPEC, it really helps everybody out. It helps aircraft that are at altitude transitioning northwestbound over Dong Ku and all of the fixes going to Sector 62's airspace because those aircraft are at altitude, and 27 is below just about most of the en route traffic that you will see. Very seldom do we have aircraft transitioning at 26, right? Usually those aircraft are 280 all the way up, to the higher flight level. So 27 is a sweet spot altitude. It gets the aircraft below all that transitioning aircraft going southeastbound and northwestbound. So it's a win-win for everybody. Within 30 nautical miles of the Miami and San Juan boundary, after completion of radar handoff, the receiving facility has control for turns on all radar identified aircraft from, okay? So this is what you have control for turns at, right? We had that 30-mile demarcation line, 30 miles inside of our boundary and we have what we see 30 miles inside of Miami's boundary where we have control for turns. But we have to make sure that whatever turn we give the aircraft is within the spectrum of these headings, 110 degrees to 170 degrees for San Juan Center. Miami is controlled for 280 degrees to 010. So basically, we have control for turns for any aircraft going due east to about almost true south heading. And they have aircraft going almost on a true north heading to slightly northwest, which kind of makes sense as the way the sectors are orientated and the way that they're shaped. It kind of makes sense to facilitate that expediency of service without having to call for coordination. Now, if you look under the special routings of the Santo Domingo and San Juan Center LOA, right? Brand new LOA. It's 2019. It's currently 2020, but a relatively fresh new document between our two facilities. We know special routings for aircraft that are departing Punta Cana via Yankee 315. Under the special routing, we have Chuma, Yankee 315 Dosgo, Yankee 185 Don Ku, right? Because we know that aircraft landing Punta Cana go FIPEC direct Don Ku. Now, aircraft will be tempted, or the people who file the flight plans for the airlines or private general aviation aircraft might be thinking, hey, Chuma direct Don Ku. Well, that will automatically conflict with any aircraft you have landing Punta Cana or Las Americas or just descending on Mike 597 southwest bound. So we instituted this route to ensure lateral separation up until Dosgo, and Dosgo is far enough away where chances are the aircraft has climbed enough, has gained enough altitude where you can swap your inbound with the outbound and turn them direct Don Ku. You can do it earlier, but also if you forget, right? Or if you just want to make sure that that aircraft stays on their filed route of flight, you can leave them on that route and they will eventually get to Don Ku anyways without any loss of expediency or efficiency, and safety is always ensured because you're ensuring that lateral separation, the two-way street between northeastbound aircraft on Yankee 315 and southwestbound aircraft on Mike 597. Okay, so let's get to this sector and put all this into practice, and let's make it all make sense. Okay, see you there. Awesome. So here we are at the sector. We have been briefed with all those governing documents, and now we take a look at what we got going on. Starting at the bottom, looks like Air France 475 is a Punta Cana departure, climbing to 17 as per the LOA altitude. We have Coast Guard 123 transitioning northwestbound on Lima 452 at flight level 160. Eurowings 1141 is a Punta Cana lander on Mike 597. American 845 is also Punta Cana lander. They filed Lima 455 to Janma, Mike 597 to BETIR, direct, Punta Cana. And we have Delta 944, meeting that restriction that we just talked about in the LOA page, descending at 27, FIPEC, direct, BETIR. Okay, so with all this going on, we can see that there is a sequence brewing up over BETIR, right? We have 3 inbound aircraft, all landing Punta Cana, all kind of spaced out, right? But we still have to watch it, monitor it, and ensure it, right? And we have Coast Guard 123, who is that thorn in our side, because look, a transition aircraft on Lima 452 in the lower altitude stratum is going to get in the way of all of our Punta Cana landers, right? So, food for thought. And we are met after taking a briefing and sitting down. San Juan Center, American 845, level 350, approaching Kinch, request direct BETIR. Okay, and look, we hear on the shout line, San Juan Center, Punta Cana handoff. Okay, so we kind of know what's going on. Let's formulate a plan. Let's go to a bulleted list. Let's talk this over, what we got going on, take that inventory, and let's work this out, okay? It's going to be great. See you there. All right, so what to do, okay? That's what we're asking ourselves here. So first things first, think about it this way. Use direct to your advantage. We hear that all the time, but let's take that statement a little further. Use direct and or the route of flight to your advantage, okay? We see that American 845 and Eurowings 1142 are both inbound over BETIR, and both will end up on Mike 597 in their route of flight. Now, if we were to give American 845 direct BETIR and oblige their request, we would be looking at a situation where both aircraft are pointed at BETIR going similar speeds, laterally separated up until a point until they are no longer laterally separated as they converge on BETIR, okay? So this is a situation where you might want to leave American 845 on the route, and they will fall right behind Eurowings as Eurowings crosses Janma, southwestbound on Mike 507. American's going to cruise on down Lima 455, hit Janma, and fall right behind. And how can we ensure that? We can ensure that separation with a speed assignment. No need to vector, right? It's almost a natural built-in vector, right? Cool. Double restriction, perhaps. So how do we ensure positive separation between Coast Guard 123 at flight level 160 and Delta 944, who has to cross BETIR at flight level 130? So think about that, okay? Now, this would be a great opportunity for you to use a double restriction, right? So the first restriction is for traffic. It ensures positive separation for traffic. Now, a little fun fact for you. Lima 452 and the point where Delta 944 has to cross to get underneath that aircraft to remain laterally separated, 5 miles of lateral separation from Lima 452, right? So almost like a non-radar thing here. We're almost using a non-radar form of restriction to ensure positive separation. So stick with me here. If you were to tell Delta to cross 20 miles, 20 miles northwest of BETIR at or below flight level 150, then cross BETIR flight level 130, right? That's the restriction number 2 in that double restriction. You would ensure positive separation from any aircraft on Lima 452 or Red 763. Because as long as they're established on that airway, 20 miles will give you 5 miles of lateral separation on the northeast side of Lima 452, okay? That's pretty interesting stuff. Radar associate, well, what can you do to ensure positive separation? We know by the letter of agreement that Punta Cana departures over Chuma climbed to flight level 170. But we had that Coast Guard 123 flight level 160, so it may not be in our best interest to approve 17. We might want to take control action, okay? And lastly, get everybody playing by the same rules. Here is where we were going to use what is built into the SOP. If we get all of our Punta Cana arrivals and operating in the same altitude stratum around the same speed, this sequence will be no factor. We also know that radar separation going into Santo Domingo is not standard 5 miles, but it's 10 miles as per LOA. So these aircraft, Delta 944, Eurowings 1142, and American 845 have to be separated 10 miles apart, okay? So this is where you might want to use that caveat, start getting those aircraft across Janma or the Janma area at 28, because Flight Vec Direct BETIR is 97 track miles. Janma Direct BETIR is 107 track miles. So we are looking at the same distance. We need to get the aircraft at the same speed and the same altitude stratum so they all perform the same so we can work this sequence out. Does that kind of make sense? It may not be right away, but you are getting everybody playing by the same rules, making all these aircraft, even though they're all turbojets, one's a heavy, two are regular, just larges. You want to get them all playing by the same rules as they descend upon BETIR, okay? So let's get back to the sector and put some of this into action, okay? All right, so let's just hit the ground running. We answered the phone, San Juan Center, and here's Punta Cana talking 11 miles south, Chuma, Air France 475, climbing flight level 170. Air France 475 radar contact climbing to flight level 150 approved. And you can even say something like reference traffic east of K-Talk, Coast Guard 123, flight level 160. But you don't need to do that. You're just telling them stop them at 15. I got traffic at 16. And then here, R6, take the baton and run with it. American 845 San Juan Center radar contact. After Kinch, descend and maintain flight level 280. Good. We want to get them down. No need to give a crossing restriction rate. We're not that formally applying the SOP caveat. We are working everything combined, but 28 is a good altitude. It's built in, and it's good to get them down. No need for direct BETIR. We talked about that natural vector, leading them on the route of flight, using the route of flight to our advantage. Down to 28 after Kinch, American 845, Eurowings 1141, descend and maintain flight level 280. Down to 28, Eurowings 1141. So perfect. You will have a Eurowings 1141 at 28, American 845 descending to 28, both down, because right now, They are not a factor. Eurowings is in front, and American will fall behind as long as you don't give direct BETIR. American's going to continue on flying towards Lima 455, so southbound, as Eurowings 1141 transitions southwestbound. You stopped Air France 475. Great job, D6, to ensure positive separation on the handoff. So there's nothing else much left to do. Now, you might be tempted to give Delta 944 direct BETIR. Just remember that BETIR is about a 210 heading off of FIPEX, so it does not fall within the spectrum or the array of turn degrees that we are allowed to give, right? It's more than 30 degrees, and it's outside of the 110 to 170 range. So just let Delta 944 fly the route. No need to get directs here yet. You're doing just fine. So let's go to the next slide and keep up this positive momentum going. Great job so far. Okay, so keeping up with that positive momentum, let's keep this plan going, right? Delta 944, cross 20 miles, northeast BETIR at or below flight level 150, then cross BETIR at and maintain flight level 130. Perfect. That's that double restriction we talked about. That first clearance ensures positive separation from Coast Guard 123. The second clearance is that normal, good old crossing restriction at BETIR as per the LOA, right? BETIR landers at 13. Punta Cana landers over BETIR at 13, flight level 130. Cool. And they'd read it back, 20 miles northeast at or below 15, then cross at 13, Delta 944. San Juan Air France 475, flight level 150. Here is where I'm passing the baton on to you. I would like you to either pause the video whenever you see the purple dialog box come up with the asterisk, and you do it. Do what you think is right? Take a little pause, and I will give you hints as to what to do, right? We've come far enough where I know that you can take that baton and run with it, but let's practice it together. So let's give traffic. Air France 475, San Juan Center, Roger. Higher passing traffic, 2 o'clock, 13 miles northwestbound, CN 53, level 160, right? Who's traffic for one is traffic for another, Coast Guard 123, traffic 11 o'clock, 12 miles, northeastbound, heavy 777, flight level 150. Perfect. San Juan, Punta Cana approach, handoff. Okay, D6, do your thing. What's your response? I'll pause for a second. Okay, perfect. And they would say something like, handoff, 11 miles south, Chuma, United 1515. Climbing to flight level 170. And you, to ensure positive separation, United 1515, radar contact, climbing to flight level 150. Perfect. Something like that. Something in the ballpark. Reference traffic, they were probably watching them anyways, okay? So good job with that. Perfect. So just as I mentioned, that passing of baton from me to you, take it and run with it. Your control from here on out. No more dialogue that's going to be given in the red and orange, right? What you should be saying. I think you know what to say by now, at least phraseology. And don't worry, I'll pause and we'll definitely answer and talk about it still. So hints will be posted and we'll continue to discuss. Be positive and visualize the successful outcome. Visualize where these aircraft are going to be in 1, 2, 4, 10 minutes, right? And if you can do that, if you can visualize that, then you are already seeing what headings they're going to be on. Are they going to be established on airways? What speeds they're going to be at? What altitudes they'll be at, right? That is the projection that you are trying to perfect, okay? So do what you can and go find some work, okay? Let's do it. Perfect job. The targets have moved a little bit and the data blocks are updated. And this is where I hand the baton off to you and ask you, what do you think needs to be done next, right? So let me take a little pause here and you take a look at the targets and think to yourself what needs to be done. Okay, so if you took that pause, I will tell you now what I think should be going on, or what I would do. Let's just put it that way, what I would do, put on the perspective from myself here. I'd give crossing restrictions to both of these guys. Eurowings 1142, American 845. They will be established on Mike 597, laterally separated from my 2 northeastbound aircraft on Yankee 315, which is perfect. So Eurowings, or I would give the American 845 their restriction first and ensure a speed restriction as well because they have about 30 knots on Eurowings. So American 845, cross BETIR at maintain flight 130, do not exceed 280 knots. Perfect, they would read that back. Eurowings 1142, cross BETIR at maintain flight 130, maintain 310 knots or greater. Awesome, ensuring the 10 miles that we need, maybe even a little more for buffer. Delta 944 is on their way making the restriction, that double restriction that we gave. Now, to kind of justify that double restriction and to kind of give Delta heads up why we did it, let's give Delta traffic on the northwestbound Coast Guard CN35, Delta 944, traffic 11 o'clock. 20 miles northwestbound CN35, flight level 160, Coast Guard 123, traffic 2 o'clock, 20 miles southwestbound Boeing 737, leaving flight level 200 for level 130. We gave traffic. We hear United 1515 request Dongku and higher. So United 1515, stand by. We would give traffic right away, right? That's the reason why we're keeping them down. We don't know how much United 1515 is going to speed up. Reference the Coast Guard 123, so United 1515, stand by. Traffic 2 o'clock, 15 miles north. Westbound CN35, flight level 160. Back to Coast Guard, give traffic. Coast Guard 123, Coast Guard 123, additional traffic 10 to 11 o'clock, 15 miles northbound, Boeing 737, flight 150. Perfect, right? Give traffic there. Now, we can't quite climb Air France 475. They're not quite laterally separated from Coast Guard 123, so we can at least verify, right? Air France 475, verify flying Mike 597 to 5Z. That sounds good. And we can get Air France 475, say key estimate, plan Mach number, and altitude request, right? We can get all that information so D6 and D4 can start their magic going with New York. Now, getting back to the request for Dongku, if you gave United 1515 direct Dongku, they would be an issue for all three of your Punta Cana arrivals over BETIR. Delta 944, Eurowings 1142, and American 845. The beauty of the new airway system, the Metroplex system in Sector 6, was to deconflict this sector. Take away all that clutter, all that bee's nest of activity. So if you leave United 1515 on Yankee 315 and let them fly to Dosgo, and at Dosgo they'll join Yankee 185 and get to Dongku, they will remain laterally separated with all of your Punta Cana inbounds. Have a perfect looking highway in the sky. Southwestbound aircraft on Mike 597, northeastbound aircraft on Yankee 315. If the altitude works out where United 1515 gets above an altitude before Dosgo, turn them direct Dongku. But for right now, the natural setup, the natural structure of the airspace is helping you maintain positive separation. Now, you just have to do your part to ensure that separation with your speed and altitude restrictions, right? Monitoring the aircraft, watching their descents, watching the speeds. It's just you to monitor and watch and be that referee. If you have to step in, okay? But great job with that so far. Okay, see you at the next slide. All right, so here we are. You see how the targets are performing all together. We got Air France and United climbing northeastbound now, right? We were able to give United a climb maybe sometime in the past, or we could just do it right now. United 1515, traffic no factor, climb, maintain file 320. Air France 475, Air France 475, climb, maintain file 310, and maintain Mach 0.84 or whatever the information Air France gave you. We can get rid of Delta 944. This would be great practice for UD side to D6, practice your handoff phraseology, right? Can you hand off all three, right? Can you combine transmissions, right? Combine calls, hand off all three. That'd be a great call. That would be a great call. So it would be Punta Cana approach, San Juan Center handoffs, and they would say Punta Cana approach, like handoffs first, northeast BETIR, Delta 944, crossing BETIR, flight 130, radar contact, Eurowings 1142 heavy. Also, well, let's just do it right. Northeast BETIR, Eurowings 1142 heavy, descending across BETIR, flight 130, and Northeast BETIR, American 845, descending 130 direct BETIR, right? Either format works. They would call radar, and we see that you have simultaneous aircraft climbing on Yankee 315. Coast Guard, I would put them in handoff status, and there it is. Handoffs, absolutely perfect. You see how that worked out? You leave United on Yankee 315 till they are laterally separated with American 845 and Eurowings 1142, and we see that Delta made that double restriction, no problem. So we saw how we were able to use some elements of non-radar crossing restrictions, speed restrictions, ensuring positive separation every which way. Great job with that. So way to make clear that traffic at BETIR. Great job with that today. That was, when we sat down to the sector, it was not the easiest looking thing. It looked like it was going to be a little more complicated than that, but things fell into place and we used direct and the route structure to our advantage. We had some speed restrictions. We got to do some traffic calls. We got to do some handoffs. We got to do a little bit of everything. Everybody got to play a part every which way. We let some of the structure of this presentation go a little bit where you guys were able to do your own thing, pause, and try to figure out yourselves. So that's always good too. And yeah, you are learning to apply the tools that we learned, right? With just a little bit of input, a little bit of instruction, you were able to make quick work of these scenarios. So wonderful job with that. I hope you guys had a good time. I know I did. It's always fun sitting down, talking shop with you guys. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, morning, whatever it is. Y'all take care. My name is Steve. May your separation always be like your attitude, positive. I will see you at the next presentation. All right, guys, take care now.